Sure. Yeah. So I came in to Duke not in the program actually, and then had learned about it after being admitted, and fortunately had Professor Helfer for torts and learned through that he was the co-director of the program. And so at one point early on in 1L, talked to him about potentially joining. One of his main selling points that I found compelling was that a lot of the alums who work in government in this area, so like especially the State Department, other sort of international facing government areas have done the joint LLM, and that it seemed like a really helpful credential to have to be able to show that interest in these subject areas. So I then signed up and have been really happy with that decision. I think getting to take international law the 1L spring was a really good way to build a foundation in these areas. I had studied foreign policy and national security in college, but didn't really have any legal background to any of that. And so it was really helpful to get that knowledge, to then sort of get a jump start on taking other international related classes throughout my time here at Duke. And then with the Leiden program, which for us, unfortunately, was virtual, but then the Duke professors were here in person. So I got early access to Professor Huckerby and Brewster and got some more class time with Professor Helfer, which I really appreciated. And so I think then, moving into 2L, it was really helpful to have that background, both in international law and then some of the more specialized areas that the Leiden classes provided. Yeah, I've been in the Human Rights Clinic both last semester and this semester, and I think that's been a really amazing opportunity to sort of be both a practical application of a lot of the things that I've learned, and help me get a sense of what it's like to do international law, maybe post law school. So it's been really great to get to work with Professor Huckerby and the other students in the clinic. A project that I'm on is looking at trafficking in conflict settings for the UN Special Rapporteur for Trafficking in Persons. So it's been just really interesting to get to do research on, what's happening in those sorts of conditions and really get to apply a lot of what I've learned to more sort of practical hands-on experiences. Sure. So I'll be going to a law firm in DC right after law school that I think will have a lot of international related cases and things that I'll be working on, ideally sort of sanctions, international trade related work, along with maybe international litigation type work. So things like Professor Brewster's classes in international trade and international business law, I think have been really helpful for that. And I think just generally, kind of like Professor Helfer's international law class, sort of all of the classes that I've taken in this international space, I think will be really helpful for that work at a firm. And then ideally will also be helpful once I want to transition into, more maybe government public service work as well. I think access to the different international professors has been a big benefit. And, of course, anyone can access those professors, but I think being in the JDLLM, then, it's sort of, there's maybe a bit easier ways to access, especially the co-directors of the program and other professors who are heavily involved. And so I think that's been a big benefit. I think also then being able to utilize the alumni network of JDLLM. So there are, several at State that I've been able to talk to and, looking forward to being able to utilize that further once I'm in DC, getting these sort of earlier Leiden classes and sort of early exposure to some in-depth international law topics is then a really helpful jumping off point for then 2L and 3L, and especially for students able to go to Leiden and then interact with the professors there and practitioners in The Hague, I think would be a really valuable experience.